a lot of that has informed my my engagement, which is disengagement. And so I just see the word ignore here, and that's the only word I understand that it's saying.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Ignore them as much as they
Well,
ignore
only
you.
because not to get back at them, only because it's the only way to survive. And for the second half of that, the future of art criticism, I just don't know. I'm not convinced that that world is on its in its death throes. You know, it's sort of sad. I feel like the triumphalism I used to feel more of, like they're going down, every one of them. And I would meet older artists, like, you know, we would have our meetings and we would talk similarly, and older artists, guys who had been feeling exactly the same way I felt in 1954 and 1967 when they did this protest, and they were absolutely convinced the end was around the corner. And I started to look, and if you read, you know, all through the 20th century, there have been, you know, it was this faddish modernism after the Armory show. You know, thank God that's going any minute. And it doesn't necessarily go, and I feel like rather than pin my hopes on its imminent demise, I feel like, look, it may be around, and I'm not going to feel like I need it to vanish for me to be happy. And so, in terms of whether the art criticism continues, it very well might. And you know, was there another question I need to address quickly?
Well, there you go. I want to move on.
Okay.
I might mention is that the realism is perennial, modernism is perennial. It's not going anywhere. It will be with us. It might even be the mainstream, continue as the mainstream for some time. I've been predicting its demise now since the 1960s. There's a book out published in 1925 called Frederick W. Ruckstuhl, Great Works of Art.
That's great. It breaks my heart because he knew. He was convinced it was over.
He knew it was over. And it's a great book. You got to buy that book. Ryan Brown bought me a copy. Hi, Ryan. Okay. But anyway, it's a great book. Everybody should read it and enjoy it. It's the first art book I read when I was 14 years old. But anyway, we've been predicting this. R.H. Ives Gamble predicted that it would go down. Richard Black predicted that it would go down. I predicted it would go down. It's not going to go down. It will go down. It's not going to go down and out.
Look, it could. And it should.
No, it's not going out. I just can't see it going out in this world of democracy. You know, it's too broad. And it's perennial as we are. But I'm looking for a more fair, particularly with, I just don't like to see all tax dollars go that way. I don't like to see tax dollars go either.
Yeah.
Oh, James.
Yeah, well, I just you gave it up.
I gave it up. But I gave it up to James. He's smart.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, don't worry about the art critics. Art criticism is so dead right now.
He just thinks he's the only one here.
I can tell you, because I am one, right? No power. I wish I could point and, like, you know, lightning bolt come out. I can, you know, make an artist a break. Can't do it anymore, unfortunately. Lost that power. And you look at the art critics that are around. They're cheerleaders. That's all they are.
Yeah.
They're in the service of some bigger enterprise.
Yeah. Yep.
And what do people read? You ever look at Art Forum? That's, you know, the kind of modernist magazine. Very thick. You don't read the criticism there at all. You look at the ads. You know, you're looking at what's selling. You know, what do the big galleries have up? You know, and what do people read in the newspaper? They read about the auction results. So they're looking at the marketplace. They're not looking for the critics. And I think it's going to be that kind of reporting that may eventually catch on. The journalists may finally trump the art critics in recognizing this movement.
Before Alexey steals the entire show, which I love it, there's a guy named Valdemar Janishek of the London Times now. Have you ever read Valdemar Janishek? He says, oh, Waterhouse is a prurient pedophile of pornography. And, you know, and I'm going, that's not art criticism, that's projection.
That's slander.
That's slander. That's and there's a statement that Bob Dylan said, don't criticize what you don't understand. That's right. And let me tell you, they have no clue. And you can't give them a clue because you don't know what you don't know, and they don't know this. And so, and they don't want to know it, and it's just going to take some natural deaths of people and new people coming up, and the tide will balance. Aren't we after a balance? That's all we're after. It'll be a balance.
Yeah, Alexey.
I want my name on that.
Try to do it in 2 minutes.
Well, you're absolutely right. I completely agree. The criticism in today's current form is so dead. But precisely because it became establishment criticism. And I think it's dead because it's later overreality, ever since they realized that they cannot negative reviews anymore. And it's only friend the fire, and when it became pumping air, just because they over-relied eventually on their power to ignore, like this critic in LA said, if we don't like it, we don't write it. And it's a brilliant formulation of that. But that's what brought them to the among other factors, to the state. You cannot ignore reality. If reality is there, whether you like it or not, and if you're not engaging that reality, you're doomed to irrelevance. The problem of that over-engagement of recent years of the power criticism, and I'm talking this high line, official line criticism. Some of you guys, I think, one of the panel pulled it. It's like Pravda, reading a review. It's like, right, it's exactly like that. It's official line. So an over-engagement, their power, they become victims of their own power. That's why it's great for us to be exactly that. We want to be French. This is new world. New world is ruled by niche market. Nobody knows the size of the niche. So all of that is great, but I think the future of art criticism is exactly that. Journalism is a saving grace in ability to start reviewing the facts on the ground. Oh my God, what happened? Landscape changed. We're not in the 60s anymore. Really? So that is the future of art criticism. The future of art criticism is combining the passion of the artist and the credibility of the journalist. Because, it's a unique thing. Criticism is unique, and hopefully with a good language. So if you have these three, and I think as long as they're good artists campaigning, there would be people who would want, essentially, good critic is the viewer, is a passionate viewer who knows what he's looking at. That's a big difference. The problem is that the establishment, because they're partisan, they're incapable. Just imagine if a pop culture, pop music writer would start review Alfred Brendel concert. It's crazy. Everybody understands that. It's impossible.
Alexey, let me move on. Keep going. It's I want to say Bennett Simpson, the curator at MoCA, who said in this panel we attended recently, it's not art criticism's job to move art forward. It's art's job to move art forward. It used to be in the past, but not anymore. And so for all that means, coming from a representative of the establishment, what kind of art do you think is going to move art forward?
I think James just mentioned that one of the things we're missing is there isn't a language. There's no evolved. The culture that we're in now differs so greatly from the cultures that I'm speaking for other people than myself, looking back to when you think of a time maybe when critics were writing about art, the Goncourt brothers or Diderot, or they were deriving the language and the ideas that they were expressing from the academy or from some long-standing, relatively stable art establishment that had values that they could then talk about. I don't think an art writer would. Somebody's going to have to. I don't mean to be condescending, but somebody's going to have to teach the art writers what to say. But before they can do that, they're going to have to figure out what to think. And those somebody has to be artists, I guess. I don't know that I would be able to write art criticism because I don't have a proper language. And what I'm really talking about is connoisseurship. I don't have the language. Connoisseurship ultimately, it rests on a language.